Good morning. This is the morning message for December the 4th, 2025, here on Following Him, the Disciple Life. The passage we're going to begin our day with is Deuteronomy 16, verses 13 through 14, as part of December Joy. You shall observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days, when you have gathered from your threshing floor and from your winepress. And you shall rejoice in your feast, you and your son and your daughter, your male servant and your female servant, and the Levite, the stranger and the fatherless, and the widow who are within your gates. With the Feast of Tabernacles, they actually had rejoicing and joy commanded more in connection with that feast than the other feast. But it makes sense from a big picture biblical standpoint. This feast follows very closely after the Day of Atonement. So we have the rejoicing that would come with knowing that your sins have been atoned for, that you have forgiveness of your sins. But then also with this feast has them dwelling in booths, in these temporary structures that would be reminiscent of when they dwelt in tents in the wilderness. Looking back in a time when they were, of course, we're always completely reliant upon God ultimately, but when they were in a much more direct, very much in their face kind of way, relying upon God, and in these temporary shelters where they wouldn't have something as permanent to look at, and in human weakness begin to trust in that instead of in God. And it would be a way of rejoicing amidst this reminder that we look to God ultimately for what we have. We look to Him ultimately to provide. And even in a circumstance like dwelling in a tent, or of course in the feast in a booth, that we still can have joy, that we can choose to rejoice. You have a great rest of the day. Lord willing, be with you here in a few hours with Thursday Thoughts, and Shalom.